Welcome to Golf Industry Guru and the Gig Podcast, where we interview the best and brightest golf and hospitality leaders on the planet. On today's episode, you will learn some proven real-world solutions that'll help you and your team solve some of your biggest golf business challenges. So stick around for some tips, tools, and training to get you, your people, and your business powered on. Here's your host, James Kronk.
Well, hello there, Golf Industry Guru members. It is another Gig Podcast, and we are here today with Rick Maddison of the Sales Ninja Academy, our retail guru, who is generously providing lots of insight to our members on all that is retail, including people and selling and training and skills and overcoming objections and so many great topics that you'll find on the Golf Industry Guru platform. And today we're going to talk about how to turn your golf shop into your own Disneyland, because Rick has been learning the lessons of all of these amazing places that deliver exceptional service, and is going to share with us what are some of the best practices that we can take from these fantastic places around the world and apply them to our very own little golf shop, no matter where we are and whatever level of golf shop retail space that we have, whether we're a shop with one person in it selling 4 shirts, or whether or not we have some 30,000 square foot monster golf shop that's got 12 staff at a time. Welcome, Rick, to Golf Industry Guru and to our podcast.
Thanks, James. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So tell me, your passion, I know, about retail. We've listened to so many of the great best practices that you shared with us. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the lessons learned from the Disneylands of the world and everybody else. Tell me more. Tell me more.
So I think we've all stayed at a Four Seasons resort. We've all been to, hopefully, a Disney resort or cruise or something like that. And over the years, I developed a training program for frontline people that really addresses some of the, principles that were shared by these world-class organizations. And these are battle-tested techniques that really do work. And I think that's the biggest key is when golf shop owners, operators employ these practices, they will work. Because let's take, for instance, Disney. I was watching a parade. My child is next to me, and, big fanfare. There's lots of lights and colors and blues and greens, and it's just a spectacle. And I see out of the corner of my eye where they come out of, where they change, and there's a door. And for some reason, my sight line, I can see actually backstage a little bit. Well, as soon as these two guys, probably in their 20s, were wearing the most ridiculous outfit I've ever seen. I mean, it's just, well, it's Disney regalia. So they're walking out, and you can tell that these two guys probably, they're buddies or whatever. They come out, and I'm watching for the look of, can you believe we're doing this? And that smirk or that wink or whatever. And I'm watching and I'm waiting for it because I know it's coming. I want it so bad. And they come around the corner and they still keep going, and they're full character. Like they are dancing and they're clapping their hands and they're having a great time, and they are truly being in the experience. And I'm just, my mouth is it's wide open because I can't believe they haven't given me the look. I knew that they must feel ridiculous. They must feel embarrassed, but yet they're full. They're right in the Disney experience. And I think whenever I talk to teams, I talk about the fact that the public is always watching you. The public is always viewing everybody in that golf shop. And because you are deemed as the expert, you're deemed as the influencer. So whenever you can, always be in character, always be that person who is positive, happy, want to help improve, your golf swing, your golf game, whatever we can do with our equipment here. We want to make your experience better. And I think sometimes we get caught up in, well, there's too much to know. And you know what? No one's really looking at me right now, and I can be bored. And I don't know, we haven't had anyone leave or be in the golf shop for like 12 minutes. So I get to relax a little bit. You're always on. You always have to be on. You are a cast member like the Disney people are. And I think that's part of the thing of, I just try to impart is the public's always watching, even when you don't think they are.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that when we talk about with some shops or some facilities, people call things the uniform, and I call it a costume. It's like you've been cast in our play, and this is the experience that we're trying to provide, and this is our script. This is what we believe in. This is how we answer the phone. This is how we say hello. This is how we say goodbye. This is how we marshal the golf course. This is how we sell a golf ball. I mean, whatever it is, those facilities, I think, and like you're talking about with the Disneys and the Four Seasons and the cruises, these companies that have it down to a T, they have it down to a T for a reason. They don't leave it all up for interpretation. It's not up for you to decide how you answer the phone. It's we're going to tell you how to answer the phone. Here's what you say, and here's and how many times have you called a golf shop and someone's answered the phone and said golf shop? As opposed to golf shop, it's a fantastic day at XYZ golf course. This is Bill speaking, or this is Susie speaking.
Well, and that's the other part I always try to talk about is consistent and memorable. Those are the two ideas that I want to impart. Is consistent is you deliver a consistent level of service every single time, every single golfer. And no, I'm not asking people to be robots. I'm asking them to deliver a consistent experience, because people get frustrated if you go in and let's say, James, you had hair. Okay.
Hey,
and you go in for a haircut and you get a haircut, you get a scalp massage, you get a nice vanilla latte with a little bit extra foam. And they actually have one of those wonderful back massagers, the automatic back massagers. And you go, wow, that was an exceptional experience. The next time you go in, you get a haircut. And it's phenomenal. It's exactly what you asked for. But there's no vanilla latte. There's no back massage. There's nothing else. You as a consumer go, I have been ripped off because 100%. I was expecting something that didn't get delivered. So I was at Four Seasons in Las Colinas in Texas. And I walked out the amazing archway. And I'm just done my experience at the Four Seasons. And the fellow that's dealing with cars and making sure everyone gets in the right cars, cabs, whatever, the lot attendant, I guess, he's standing there with two wonderful ladies, and he goes, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Benson, thank you so much for staying at this Four Seasons. And I've got a nice little surprise for you. And he gives them two warm George's cookies with a little half liter of milk, and he gives them to him, and he goes, have a great day, and I hope to see you very soon. He turns around, and I'm standing right there, and he goes, you saw all that, didn't you? I said, I sure did, including the secret hatch there, bud, where the cookies are.
Yeah.
He goes, you know what? Let me get it for you, Mr. Maddison. That sounds great. So he grabs the cookie and the milk and everything else. Big grin on his face. We made a little bit of a joke about the fact that I probably wasn't supposed to see that. But the consistency that he gave me the same experience that the people who got into a lovely S-Class Mercedes did. And I think that's the other thing is we need to have the process so we can deliver consistency. If we leave it up to Mary, who might be, dealing with a slight headache, to Bob, who, might have had imbibed too much the last night, and they don't have a minimum standard of service, well, we're left to their own devices, which is not a great idea if you spent all that money on building a golf course, a golf shop, filling it full of merchandise, and now you're just basically at the whims of people that you have on the front line. That's not what big corporations do. They really don't.
No, and I can tell you what they also don't do. They don't allow for 4 televisions, 2 of them to be turned off, one of them to be on daytime soap opera, and the other one to be on wrestling. Everything is very clear about this is the music that's played in the hallways. This is where the television channels are on. This is when they're not on. It's either the golf channel or it's a major event that we agree we're going to play. But it's not whatever you would like to do. It's not whatever music you'd like to listen to because you happen to love country and Betty that's coming in later on wants to play Led Zeppelin. These things aren't left to chance. You mentioned the cookies. We used to have be in charge of a golf shop, and we decided that our members were playing on Saturdays and Sunday mornings. It was a semi-private golf club where the members had a block times on Saturday, Sunday morning. We always wanted to do something special for the membership to separate the experience. We realized that, it doesn't always have to be about price, and it have to be about a bunch of other things and relationships. So we used to have cookies every Saturday and Sunday morning at 7:00. What would happen is the chef the night before would lay out the cookies so they could just easily be put in the oven. And so we didn't require, 15 staff to make cookies at 7 a.m. in the morning. But the whole point was that when the members walked down the stairs into the golf shop, they would smell these warm chocolate chip cookies. They would, if you were there early, the early bird gets the cookie, we used to say. So they would get the cookie in the morning until they ran out by around 10 o'clock. But it was a memorable experience, and it became one of those traditions, one of those things that our members loved and they talked about. And so, like you said, the consistency of having that, making that happen. When you start telling people we're going to have cookies on Saturday, Sunday morning, you better make sure you have cookies on Saturday and Sunday morning, that you don't one day all of a sudden we ran out of cookies last night. It's like how many times you've seen we ran out of something. I'm just like, there's a store like 30 yards from the front door here. Like, you telling me they can't sell lettuce over there? You ran out of lettuce. So what are some of the other things, Rick, that you kind of have taken from, these? So you talked about consistency, you talked about memorable.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing for managers is, I was talking to a manager and I said, give me what your idea of, your mainstay or your focus is. And he goes, and I remember this, I focus on everything, Rick. And I go, okay, do you know what the definition of focus is? Because if you're focused on everything, that's something else entirely. So the biggest thing is when I talk about focus in on a good guest experience, a good customer experience, and I do this with Mercedes or Polaris or anyone else. You can't say, okay, we're going to focus on this, and this, and this. You got to take focus out of it then. I want people to have a great experience in the retail environment. So that is my focus. So I'm going to build around that as a manager. I know I have administrative duties. I know I'm going to get pulled into meetings. I know I'm going to get, a Zoom call. I know I got to deal with, manufacturers and all this thing, but I'm going to carve out in my day, and I'm going to sit down with a chart, and I'm going to start listing 20% of my day is going to be spent on administrative, 15% on maybe culture shift or anything else with my staff. 25% is going to be with dealing with members. And I'm going to start building out my perfect day. I'm not going to hit that every single day, but at least I've carved out of my week a time to work with a team, sit down with them, actually help them develop these skills. Because the thing is people have over the years thought retail sales experiences, well, any shaved ape can do it. They really can't. Otherwise, more companies would. So that's why they need a process, but they need someone to help them work the process. So for managers to have that focus on their week where they actually carve out time, those are the ones that I never worry about. I give them the program. They sprint. Like they're like, great. This is part of the toolbox that I've always wanted. Because I know how to motivate staff. I know how to work with the team, but I never quite had the skills in salesmanship. So I think anyone that sits down with a week and actually says, I'm going to focus on my retail experience, and they actually put it into their book or their daytime or their iPhone or whatever it is, those are the ones that I never, ever think, oh, I don't know if that's going to work out. It always works out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think that, adding to that, when we talk about the Four Seasons experience or the Disney experience, or really any company that is recognized for, it's like going to a sandals resort, or when you need to be committed to the guest experience, and I think that what happens sometimes is that we look at retail as being about selling something, instead of about retail being part of the overall experience and part of the overall delivery of our experience to our members or to our customers, to our guests. I remember many years ago, we were putting a golf shop together, and we wanted to be different. We wanted to separate ourselves from any other golf shop that people had been in. And we came up with this idea to put music, to put sounds behind every different section of the golf shop. So in the rainwear section, we behind the rainwear with a little speaker. This was back in the day when we had like cassette recording things. Like, we didn't have Alexa or Google, but we literally had these kind of little tape cassette recording boxes that would play the sound of rain. So when you were in that section, you could hear in the background like a little bit of sound of rain. And then we had this other section where we actually sold designer suits and shoes and things like that. And we had jazz music playing in that area, right? And then we had another section where we had umbrellas and stuff like that. And so we had the sound of crickets and outdoors and animal noises and things like that. And you'd see people walk through the shop as they would come to these different, and you could see their ears perk up and their eyes, and they were trying to figure, like, they would look outside, they're like, it's not raining outside, it's like 30 degrees up. But it became a talking point, obviously. It became a talking point, and it became that conversation with someone saying, that's so fast, and you have, whatever, where's that sound coming from? And then obviously it would allow us to engage in the guest, and it was part of the theater. I guess that would be the best way to describe it. It was part of the theater of the retail experience. And I think that's what, an example of how so many, you got to do it different. You got to separate yourself. I mean, there's a reason why the Four Seasons with their chocolate cookies and their milk separates themselves from other facilities and from other hotel chains. And the reason why it's known to be, the Four Seasons, like it's having the note in your room saying, welcome back to the Four Seasons, Mr. Kronk. And you hadn't been there for 3 years, but they've done their work, right? They've done their work.
Well, it's interesting you say that, the theater part, and what you did in the golf shop. Kudos to you for making that experience. Cause I think too often we lose our innovation side, and that was an innovation. Like for you to deal with the audio that actually deals with the psychology of why we even buy rainwear. That's brilliant stuff. And what's great about what I do is I get to talk to people that are constantly redefining that experience. So I get these little tidbits and I steal them. James. Okay. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the theater. And the one thing is, we're not selling life insurance here. We're selling fun. Like golf is fun. I mean, for some people it ruin
some of us are sadists, but it doesn't matter. We're not judging.
But I mean, the theater, and I always talk about the fact that, and I'm dating myself, but I always talk about, who would you rather have sell to you, Robert DeNiro or Al Gore? I mean, it's just, there's two different sides of it. And I love people that are thoroughly engaged. I'm having fun, because when I'm having fun, I'm spending more money. And, my local shop, my local club, the guy, him and I have a great rapport, and I buy more in his shop because, I'll talk about his sexy pants he's wearing, and he'll say, oh, Maddison, hey, little power fade off the tee box there I saw. And so we have, this wonderful rapport that you can build instantaneously. again, if you follow some of the tenets of the curriculum. So it's just interesting to me when you talk about theater, I get really amped up because, we are selling golf, which is fun. It's a relaxation. It's a recreation. People are choosing to do that. We're not selling life insurance. We have to remember that. It's okay to smile and laugh and poke fun at our people we know. Like, those are all good things. And I think the more fun we have with people, the more our day's going to go fly by because you're having fun and you're good at what you do. You're good at your craft.
Yeah. And don't you find sometimes, Rick, that, obviously you've got to know your brand. You got to know who your brand is. If you're a municipal golf course in your community that charges $19 for 18 holes and your staff wear jeans, and you own that and you deliver it and, you have a fantastic experience. And then, of course, you might be a private club that charges thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to join, where everybody wears a shirt and a tie and it's yes, sir, no, sir, which way, sir. Both of those allow for human interaction and fun and experience. I mean, I hate walking into a facility that's like a museum. It's like, you can't talk very loud and everybody's going to be very quiet and this way, Mr. Kronk, and that way, Mr. Kronk. I mean, like, it doesn't mean that, I understand the significance of it. It's like walking into Augusta or whatever it might be. I understand the significance of the club, but as people, we still want engagement and interaction and entertainment and conversation. Obviously we're going to play different music at the 19-hole golf course or the $19 golf course and have different, magazines on the table possibly than we're going to have at the $100,000 golf club. That's part of our experience, part of our brand. The Four Seasons staff don't walk around wearing shorts. But it doesn't mean that they're not engaging and they're not friendly and they're not outgoing in their warm way. Would that be, what do you think about that?
And that's just it I've been on a morning show. I've written comedy. So I have a little bit of background in that genre, I guess you could say. What I'm not asking people to do is do stand-up comedy as Seinfeld. What's interesting, though, is if you get someone to smile, and we're talking about there's different personality types out there, the indifferent, where you can't seem to engage them. But if you get that person to smile, if I get that person to smile, and it doesn't have to be, I have killer jokes, but we're talking just a nice smile because I'm happy that he's in my pro shop. If I get them to smile, that's an indication of trust. That means I trust you. And now you and I can chat and converse and everything else. So what I am telling people is you don't need a whole bunch of comedy writers for SNL on your floor. What you do need is some level of enthusiasm, excitement for you get to golf today. That is fantastic. And by the way, I hate that. Oh, well, good for you. I'm jealous. That whole shtick. That's old. We got to take that right out of the whole golf industry because that, for me, I'm going, well, I worked 7 days last week in a row, so I get to golf today, and you are going to be happy about, selling me some stuff here. So it's just funny. I hope that, again, we get back to enjoying who you have in the front lines and making sure that they have the tools and there's no reason for them not to be having fun, like being engaged.
Rick, if we should do a podcast that has a warning sign on it one of these days and talk about, the golf industry has done this to itself, right? In over many years of complacency. And the reality is that for many, many, many facilities, the staff don't give a crap about experience. They are standing behind the counter, taking money for putting the till, watching the Golf Channel or whatever it might be, waiting for their shift to end so that they can go tee it up for free. Mm-hmm. And what they're not there for is to create memorable. And this is a generalization. I'm not saying it's everybody, but look, the complacency of the golf industry, in my humble opinion, is what has led to the decline of golf over the. Sure that we've a pandemic has changed the fortunes of many. But prior to that, the rounds of golf, the number of people coming into the game, the young people getting in the game, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we don't often do a great job of welcoming people into our sport, and creating a relationship that makes them want to keep coming back over and over and over again, because it's of so many barriers. And so making golf fun, making golf enjoyable to learn, difficult game, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's why the great ones stand out, I think. I think that's why the great teachers, the great managers, the great facilities, they stand out because they're leaders in their field, but which should be 90% the norm instead of 9%.
You're exactly right. And I think complacency is a great word for it. We just, I have a lot of different categories that I deal with, including golf. And whenever I hear, Amazon is eating my lunch, well, what are you doing? Are you creating a better customer service experience? Are you aware of what other people price for that product? Are you showcasing very well? Are your people knowledgeable about that product? Is the lighting good? How's your parking lot look? Like, you know what? There's a whole bunch of things that develop an experience. So you can't just say, I can't believe this is happening to me. Well, that's blame shifting. And I think Trump did that very well, by the way. But I do think at some point you have to take responsibility and accountability and say, I'm going to make it better. I am. And again, back to that focus word. I'm going to focus. I'm going to carve out part of my week to make this better for people. I'm going to get the tools. I'm going to work the tools, and I'm going to deliver a better product. And I think if people somehow wrap their head around the fact it is up to you, you can actually affect change. That's when we start to see a fundamental shift. And we're talking 5-10% would be phenomenal for a shop to change that culture 5-10%, because that means it's that much better. And I think the word of mouth, and it becomes legendary when that member travels 200 miles away, 250,000 kilometers away, and somebody says, "Oh, you golf there? Oh, I've heard really good things about the service there." So that's how easy it is to become legendary and iconic. And I think if people just thought about that for a second, it doesn't take a huge shift, just a small shift, and they can be there.
Well, it's a great point, which is that, you don't have to be, you can be known to having a great experience and having great service and great people and a great culture. And it has nothing to do with who designed your golf course or how much you charge, or whether or not you have 400 staff on the maintenance team or you have 4. It's got nothing to do with that. It just like there's great restaurants that everyone goes to, that everyone loves, that, maybe has 20 seats and is run by a mom and pop. I mean, it's no different. And so, like you said, and I guess how I would maybe also add there, Rick, when you talk about focus and the person, I always like to say when we're talking with some owners or clients or managers that if that's not you, then that's okay. But you have to make sure that you have someone on your team that is. So if you're not the kind of person to walk around the shop and to shake hands and kiss babies, then make sure that the person in charge of your shop is someone that walks around and shakes hands and kisses babies. Because the golf business, we talk about the fact you have to know multiple things. You have to be good at multiple things. And some managers work for boards, and they boards of directors that don't know what they're talking about, and they come and they go, and presidents that come and they go. Some work for retail companies or real estate companies, and so there's all kinds of different skills that are required to be a general manager. But if you're not good at selling or retail or folding shirts or deciding what's the right pattern for women's wear next year, then just make sure that you have someone in charge of that department that does have those skills and those qualities and that ability. But, I think that's one of the things that we've got to make sure that we look for. You don't need someone to hit it 300 yards. You need someone that's in charge that shakes hands and kisses babies and makes people feel good and smiles.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because I think that's the complacency word you used, and thinking, there's a very small percentage of people that can shoot par or less, or in the, that 5 handicapper. those people are core people, and they're going to golf there because they like the layout, they like the course, that kind of thing. What I'm talking about is the people that are the plus handicappers. And those are the ones that are really going to make your month, your quarter, your year, your season, just because those are the ones that advocate and are ambassadors, and they're the ones that spread the goodwill. Those are the ones we need to focus in on and make sure their experience is great, and make sure that they know that they're just as much a part of our shop and our course as the guy that can shoot par every time he goes out there.
Yeah, 100%. Rick, thank you so much for your wisdom. We're for Golf Industry Guru members, you're going to be able to find lots of other tools either now or coming from Rick with regards to retail, whether we do some webinars or some courses on sales. And to learn more, please visit Rick's website, Sales Ninja Academy, or Rick Maddison, and reach out to the many buttons that you'll see around Golf Industry Guru to get in touch with Rick. If you'd like Rick to work with your staff and work with your team, or to delve into some of these topics in more detail, Rick is your man. So, Rick, thanks so much for joining us today on our podcast, and we look forward to future ones.
My pleasure, James.
All the best. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Gig Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and mostly that you learned a few things that will help you improve your business. Join us next time as we continue to bring you the best and brightest golf and hospitality leaders on the planet. Thanks for listening.